Great. So thank you all for joining us for research in kinesiology. And we'll begin with introductions for both Dr. Hagberg and Dr. Kiemel. So Dr. Hagberg, would you like to begin?
Is this just an introduction?
Correct. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Jim Hagberg.
Can you tell us a little bit more about your role and why you are here participating in this panel?
Lindsay is stronger than I am, and she twisted my arm until it almost broke off, and that's why I'm here. No, so I'm a professor in the Department of Kinesiology, and I run the STAR and ADAPT programs. Just stepped down as director of graduate studies and have a whole bunch of research publications and a whole bunch of research funds. And one of the things I'm really dedicated to is undergraduate research training.
Great, thank you. And Dr. Kiemel, would you also like to provide an introduction of who you are and why you're participating in today's panel?
Hi, I'm Tim Kiemel. I'm a research associate professor in the department, and I am the director of the honors program. That's why I'm here today. But I also do research on the neural control of movement, including walking. I teach motor development and a I-Series course called The Cybernetic Human.
Great, thank you so much. So now we'll go ahead and ask Dr. Hagberg to just explain a little bit more about the STAR ADAPT program.
Oh, nice pictures. Let's see that one on top. What year was that? 2018 or something like that. Yeah, so I run two NIH-funded programs to train underrepresented minorities and first-generation college students to pursue graduate degrees in research. STAR is funded by National Heart, Lung, and Blood Institute, and ADAPT is funded by the National Institute on Aging. STAR is for kids from around the United States. So about half of the crew that I bring in each summer is from various institutions around the United States. And ADAPT is just for University of Maryland students. So STAR just runs in the summer for those students coming in. ADAPT runs in the summer, but then also continues during the academic year. So they get virtually a 12-month experience over 2 years. So who's eligible and how do they apply? Again, underrepresented minorities looking to pursue a graduate degree in the future. Also first-generation college students. How do you apply? Send me an email or go out and look at, just Google ADAPT and you'll get to our website and it's got the application procedures there. What do students do and who do they work with? Well, it's really a pretty cool program. There's one graduate of the program and one enrollee and one almost enrollee sitting in this group here. So the 10-week summer program is an intensive research experience. You're assigned to a mentor's lab with someone that whose research you're interested in, and you spend 40 hours a week doing that research and some other professional and ethics training along the way and preparing you for applying to graduate school and going to graduate school. At the end of the summer, you have an oral presentation and a poster presentation of your research. Oh, and along the way, both of the groups live together in a sorority house. So there's about 25 to 30 of you, either half from Maryland and half from across the United States. You're paid a $4,800 stipend for the summer. Your housing is paid for, and most of your meals are paid for too. So it's not a bad summer job, and it looks really, really good on your resume if you're proposing to pursue research down the road, to say the least. And if you need letters of reference for graduate school and such programs, this is a really good place to get them because you have pretty intense interactions with myself and your research mentor along the way.
Great, thank you. It was a very thorough description. And again, if you have any follow-up questions, Dr. Hagberg can be reached via email. Would you want to share your email address in the chat?
Sure, I'll try to do that.
All right, thank you. If not, I can send it out.
I'm good.
All right, and Dr. Kimo, can you tell us a little bit more about the Kinese Honors Program?
Sure. So it's meant for students who want to have an intensive research experience working with an advisor and that advisor's research group and writing an honors thesis. So it's a 2-year program generally. So generally you would apply during the summer before your junior year. And the basic requirements are, a typical number of credits you would have at that point. We ask that you've taken at least 3 core courses in kinesiology and that you have a overall grade point average and a kinesiology grade point average of at least 3.5. Some of these are somewhat flexible, so I'm always happy to discuss your specific situation with me. So if you're planning to graduate anytime during 2022, then you should apply for admittance into the spring. The deadline is January 1st. If you're going to graduate if you're going to graduate later than that, then you can wait until this coming summer. The application deadline is August 1st. And the application is pretty easy. It's a personal statement and an unofficial transcript. And then the good part is once you're in the program, so as I mentioned, it's a 2-year program. The first year and every semester you're in the program, you attend this 1 credit seminar where you engage with guest speakers such as Dr. Hagberg and other great faculty members who come in and have a presentation and answer your questions about their research. During your first year in the program, you identify a research advisor with my help. And then in your senior year, you take a 3-credit course where you write a research proposal, and that takes the place of an options course. And then in your final semester, you take another 3-credit course that takes the place of Kinesiology 497, where you finish writing your honors thesis. And during that time, you are working with your advisor, doing a project, you're writing your honors thesis, and you end up with a honors thesis. And this experience working closely with that research group.
Great, thank you. All right, so at this point, we will go ahead and transition into our student introductions. Alexis, would you like to introduce yourself first?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Alexis. I'm a senior kinesiology student, and I'm also on a pre-med track. I am in my 3rd semester as an honor student, and my research advisor is Dr. Glancy, and I am working with her and another grad student on macrophage infiltration and capillary density reductions in the skeletal muscle during heart failure. So yeah, that's just a little bit about me.
Great, thank you.
And
go ahead.
She's also a UM adapter.
I am.
There you go.
She double dipped, honors and UM adapt.
All right, and Hodalis, would you like to go next?
Sure, I'm Hodalis, just like the city, so Ho in Dallas. I'm a 5th year. I'm also in the pre-med track, and I work with Dr. Glancy to do research on cardiac energy production. I also do, I'm trying to make sure I remember the word, transaortic constriction surgeries on rats and mouse cannulations. So it sounds like a lot of big words, but basically I just do a lot of cool things with hearts. But yeah, that's what I do when I'm researching.
Awesome, thank you. And your role is working as an undergrad research assistant, correct?
Yes, sorry, I didn't say that, but yes.
No problem. All right, and Hannah, would you like to go next?
Hi, I'm Hannah. I'm a senior and also in my 3rd semester in the honors program. My advisor is Dr. Roberts, and I am doing kind of like a sub-study of her plight study, looking at the effect of the Purple Line construction on the walkability and active transportation on campus.
Excellent, thank you. And Eric, go ahead.
Hi guys, I'm Eric. I'm a recent University of Maryland graduate, and I was in Star and Adapt. I believe it was summer of 2017 and then summer of 2018, and then those years until I graduated. And I worked under Dr. Hatfield, and we looked at the effects of mental preparation, specifically psychic, in relation to how that affected torque production and motor recruitment in the muscles. So, yeah.
Great, thank you. And so these pictures here just kind of showcase the variety of different labs that we offer. Some of these represent the labs that our students will share a little bit more about in their experience. You can see the picture of Dallas on the left. For our Kinese honors students, can you both speak briefly about your overall experience in the program so far? I know as an advisor, a lot of the questions I get frequently are like, what does an H section of those core or upper level options look like? Like, what does that additional work entail? What is like your seminar like, or just, what is your cohort, that interaction you get to have with your, fellow Kinese honors students? Kind of what is that general experience you have in the honors program?
I can speak a little bit on this and then Hannah can talk. But so each semester we have to take a 1 credit seminar, like Dr. Kimmel said, and that's just a once a week meeting. And we either have a journal article that we'll discuss that we were assigned to read through the week, and then we'll discuss it, or we will have like a guest speaker. It's usually a professor in the Kinese department, so they'll share a little bit about the research that they do, what classes they teach. And then when you're in your final year, you'll take the 476 and 497, I think, and 477 you'll take. And those are all your research-based classes. So you'll write your thesis proposal, and then you'll present your research at the end of the semester, like right before graduation. So that's just a little cap off to end your semester. And then as far as the H section, so we are required to complete 12 credits of honors credits, I guess. So usually I would take a core class and go up to this professor and say, hey, like I'm an honor student and I'm taking this class for honors credit. And then you'll work out something with the professor as an added element to your class already. So for example, I had for Dr. Glancy's, I took her class for an H credit, and I had to write a paper relating what we were studying in class to what I was actually looking at in the lab. So it was just a really good connection between what you're learning and then what you're studying in the lab. I don't know if Hannah has like anything to add to that, but that's pretty much the gist of it.
Great, thank you. Yeah, Hannah, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, that's pretty much everything. In terms of like my H section work, I can just add, I actually took Kinese 370 with Dr. Kimmel, and I just had to write a paper on any topic that I found interesting throughout the semester. And then I actually also was abroad last semester and was still able to get honors credit by working something out with Dr. Kimmel and then presenting a little presentation about my abroad experience during our 1 credit seminar. So that's also just something to think about. If you are wanting to go abroad, you can still get honors credit while you're there.
Great, that's an excellent thing to point out. Thank you for sharing that. And then just another question for our honors students. So how did you find the faculty member that you wanted to do your research with for your honors component? And like, what advice do you have for kind of looking into that information and then approaching that faculty mentor?
I found Dr. Roberts actually through the seminar. She was a guest speaker, and I just really liked her work. And she also was a guest lecturer in my SPHL 100 class the same semester. So I just emailed her and reached out, explaining that I was an honor student looking for an advisor and was interested in what she was researching. And we had a meeting, and from there we just decided that she would be my advisor, and then came up with further stuff that we would do.
And as for me, I had class. My professor was Dr. Glancy, and like it was like a week or two into the semester, and I was like, I really like this class. Like I should probably take it for honors credit. So I just reached out to her and set it up, and now she's my advisor.
Awesome, thank you. Right, and Eric, can you just describe your experience with Star Adapt? I know you mentioned it was a few years ago, but yeah, kind of what did you gain from this experience? I think especially with you being a graduate at this point, you know, were there any skills that you gained or just like the network that you built that you found to be useful in your post-grad pursuits?
Yeah, definitely. I think one of the biggest things I gained is being a friend of Dr. Hagberg. I'm not saying that to suck up or anything, but Dr. Hagberg has really been like a great mentor in terms of, you know, educationally, but also like if I come to his office and I'm, you know, in a fluster, you know, he's there to kind of like bring me down. So that's definitely one of the greatest things that I've taken. But also, you know, I've learned how to research. I've learned how to look for information and kind of like, yeah, look for knowledge on my own. I think when I came into college, one of my struggles was learning how to learn, I guess, in this kind of environment. And that kind of taught me how to know what to look for. And in terms of like, because we had to do different things, like even developing our own manuscripts or doing lit reviews, things that I wasn't really, you know, accustomed to. And so that kind of helped me and set me aside from a lot of my peers in terms of learning how to even, you know, speak, because you have to give oral presentations and stuff like that. But I think one of another great thing that you have is just all the faculty around. To be honest with you, I'm the type of person who doesn't really like to go out and venture out, even though I am kind of like an energetic person, I would say. You know, I don't like to venture out and develop relationships, if that makes any sense. But this kind of like forced me into the mix. And, you know, I can, you know, go into Dr. Hatfield's office, or I can go into, you know, Dr. Carson's office. Like these are people that I knew and I was able to, you know, just seek knowledge from. Is there anything else I'm missing?
Nope.
Okay.
Yeah, no, that was great. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, and we did have a question come in from the chat going back to the honors real quick, just more so about the registering for those H-level sections. So someone noted that they often see in the schedule of classes, it'll say like Kinese 300H or Kinese 451H. So yes, as an honors student, you get to register for those H sections, which those seats count separately from the rest of the big lecture. So that is often like another advantage of being in the honors program, is that you have access to those seats that are restricted to students in the honors program. All right, and then Hodalis will come to you next, but if you can just kind of describe what your process was. You know, I think as an undergraduate research assistant, that's one that I feel like is a little more proactive on the student end as far as seeking those opportunities. So kind of how did you get connected with Dr. Glancy? And can you also just kind of give us a little bit more detail about what you do get to do in the lab? Like what's your hour commitment? How did things look during a normal semester for you in that role?
Sure, of course. So I actually worked in a volunteer program in STAMP, and I met one of the, I guess, undergrad researchers for Dr. Glancy. His name was Jackson Durbin. I think he graduated already. So, but he kind of told me, I guess he was kind of bragging in a way about Dr. Glancy and all this cool research she did. And then I got really interested in it just because he was doing like actual surgery on the rats and the mice, and doing cool things with those hearts once again. So I just asked him, I was like, do you think she's looking for anyone? I'm pre-med, I really need to look into research. And then he just gave me her email and told me just go for it. And then just put him down as a reference because we worked together in the volunteer program. And then after that, I thought I wasn't going to make it or anything. So I asked Dr. Glancy, and she gave me a tour of everything. And I explained to her why I wanted to be part of her research. And next thing I knew, I was there. And I was being trained to take Jackson's place. And then, so with the commitment, I was kind of almost there a lot just because I was undergrad. So undergrad has to kind of do a little bit more work than the graduate students. So it's been a while. So I haven't been back since March. So I would do about maybe 4-hour shifts, kind of depending on the days. If I had to do surgery that day, it'd definitely be there for a little longer, depending on how my surgeries went. But I would do, like, say I would do surgeries on Mondays with the rats, and then on Fridays I would do surgeries with the mice. So it kind of just really varied on what I was willing to commit to. That's also a really nice thing, is that the professors, or like the graduate students, understand that you're an undergrad, you're going through school, you have your own commitments, and they definitely make sure that you're on top of your things there before you even come into the lab. I know Dr. Glancy knew I loved being in the lab, and she just wanted to make sure I was always on top of my grades, making sure that, like, I'm a student first before I'm a research assistant. So I thought it was worth it. I absolutely loved every second of it, and I'm really bummed that right now I'm not doing it because of the whole pandemic. But hopefully I get in the spring. If not, then it's okay. But it was a great experience. So yeah, I think I answered everything, right?
Yeah, thank you. And then I guess just another follow-up question is, do you feel like you had any prior experience or coursework that kind of helped you in the lab, or do you feel like you just really received that support and training kind of once you were brought into the lab?
I would actually say both, interesting enough. So I went in with no experience. When I joined Dr. Glancy's lab, I think I was only a Kinese major for, I think, a year, maybe a semester. I was biology before, didn't like biology, so I moved over to Kinese. And I didn't really know anything about like the core courses too well. I knew I signed up for everything, but I didn't know exactly what it meant to be a Kinese major. And then so definitely Dr. Glancy and the graduate students helped me through everything. But then once I took 360 exercise physiology, I believe, it just made everything so much clearer, and taking anatomy helped a lot too. So I think a benefit of both was that, like, I had the help from like my research assist, my graduate peers, but I also had the aspect of like the courses that just give you those textbooks answers that like a lot of people assume that you just already know, but I didn't. But it was really nice because I believe Dr. Pryor taught me 360, and he would say different things to me that Dr. Glancy said to me a while ago, but I had no idea, and I was too scared to ask her, like, what did that one word mean? And then it all made sense once I took the class. So I think absolutely both.
That's great. Thank you.
One point, Lindsay, one point I'd like to make for the students that I think is important. Hodalis talked about spending 4-hour time segments in there, and everybody's going, oh my gosh, how could I possibly do that? You can get research credit. Okay, you can take undergraduate research credits, and I think they would probably apply for senior options courses or something like that. I don't know that for sure. But so instead of having to add this on top of your coursework, it could be part of your coursework, so it wouldn't be quite so overbearing.
Yes, that's a great reminder. So yeah, Hodalis, can you kind of follow up on that and say, like, were you earning elective credit through your lab experience, or were you doing it just for like the experience to add to your resume, or like as a pre-med prerequisite kind of thing? Or did you do a combination of those? Because I know, like, same thing with internships, like sometimes students will do an internship for credit and then they'll continue to do it just for the experience and not necessarily earn internship credit. So yeah, from the research side, were you consistently earning credit for it for your semesters of participation, or just kind of like once and then you continued it for the experience?
So in the beginning, I think I joined like right at the end of a spring semester. I can't remember what year it was, but so in the beginning, Dr. Glancy wanted me to kind of like trial and do volunteership in the beginning, just to see whether or not I had a skill for the surgeries. And if not, then it wouldn't really work for me to be in the lab for that particular aspect. So I did that for about, I think, maybe it's the summer and then half a semester. And then after that, I talked to her about whether or not I could do credit, just because it became a lot. And I wanted to know whether or not I can at least add it to my course load, like Mr. Hadberg said, Dr. Hadberg. So that's what I did. I asked Dr. Glancy for credit. And then after that, we kind of just talked about what things we're going to consider part of my volunteership and what parts were going to be considered for my credit aspect. So yeah, it definitely made it a lot easier, just because I felt like it was nice that I was doing something that I really enjoyed, but at the same time, I was also getting a great grade for it. So it was really nice.
Yeah, definitely. That's definitely a huge bonus. And again, just like if you're already putting in that time commitment, why not earn the credit for it? And then it's kind of also like a GPA boost too. So that's great. At this point, if there are any other just kind of like tips or advice that any of our panelists would like to add, or if there are any general questions from our audience members, now would be a great time to send those into the chat. Or if anyone doesn't have anything to add, then we'll go ahead and open up those breakout rooms.
I would just like to say, folks, it's time to be adults. Not everything is going to be laid out on a platter. If you see something interesting, go and talk to that faculty member. Most of us won't snap your head off if you come and talk to us, okay? Most of us are people just like your people, okay? So, talk to people, be proactive, go out there and take a chance. Some of it may not work out, or like Hodala said, she went in and started to work and just to see, because maybe it wasn't as cool as she thought it was once she got in there. More often than not, it turns out to be cooler than you thought it was. But you don't know if you don't stick your feet in the water. Be proactive. Go out there and make your own thing, make your own future, essentially what I'd like to say.
And I guess I'll. Oh yeah, go ahead, Eric. Sorry. go ahead, Eric.
I wanted to add on to what Dr. Hagberg said, because it's really true. I would have never, done half of the things I did if not for, making that first, I guess, interaction with Dr. Hagberg. And for all those other people that are out there that's like, I don't know if I want to. You never really know what you want to do unless you know what you don't want to do. And you have to go through that list and get out the things that, like there's so many opportunities open, and you don't want to look back and be like, man, I wish I did this. So yeah, just take every opportunity that you see. Yeah.
Thanks. And then I was just going to add too, I feel like I get this more in conversations during advising, and maybe Dr. Kiemel, you want to speak about this from the honors perspective as far as the personal statement. But I think it's good to be mindful as a student when you are either applying for these opportunities or reaching out to faculty, that you're not just saying, hey, I'm a pre-med student and I need research experience. Do you have any openings available? I think they're going to be more receptive to those inquiries that they receive that say like, I looked at your lab and I'm really curious at XYZ that's happening in your lab. It kind of shows that you took that extra step to indicate why you're specifically indicated in that lab experience. Would you say that that is kind of true, or anything else that you would want to add to that?
Yes, I would agree. Just saying, well, I'm coming to talk to you because I need to tick off this box on my application. Many faculty members would say, well, that's great, but what's your real driving force of being here? And if somebody's interested in the work, guess what? The faculty members are interested in their own work too. So if somebody else might be interested in, they're more than willing to probably add people on if they can just logistically do it. Sometimes there just gets to be too many people around.
And Dr. Kiemel, is there anything else that you would add as far as what you look for in a really solid candidate for the honors program?
As has been mentioned, kind of a intrinsic interest in research, and often people have started working with a research group before they apply, like Jackson that Dallas mentioned. He was working with Dr. Glancy before he applied. So that's great. If you are like a sophomore and you find someone and you start working with them, then you can discuss, with that person, or maybe they'll suggest to you, you should apply to the honors program. You can get all this credit for doing what you're already doing. And it's credit that actually takes the place of other requirements like an option scores and Kinese 497. So if you start early, it gives you more options and you can figure out what you want to do, and it puts you in a great position to follow that path, whatever you decide you do want to do.
Great, thank you. All right, well, at this point, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording as we get ready to transition into breakout rooms since I didn't receive any questions from our audience members. So thank you all again for joining us today.